Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for the third session. And if you notice, we're just jumping from one session to another in quick time, right? So it's not to bore you, it's just to make sure you capture everything that is important, and also you engage with the awesome speakers we have for today. Today we have somebody that is doing an amazing stuff in the 360 VR space in Africa and even around the world. We have Kachi Benson, and he's an amazing guy. And Jennifer is going to give like an overview or a bio of who Kachi is and the great works he's doing.
Thanks, Arome. Everyone, we're really privileged to provide this opportunity for you all today. I'll give you a quick introduction to Kachi. Kachi Benson is passionate about stories and uses both traditional 2D and virtual reality technology to share stories about his beloved Nigeria and the African continent. He's the first Nigerian filmmaker to use virtual reality technology for storytelling when he produced Mbakasi, a virtual experience of life in one of the largest IDP camps in northeastern Nigeria. Mbakasi premiered at Cairo Film Festival and was subsequently screened at Hot Docs and the Berlin Film Festival. In April 2019, Kachi Benson's Daughters of Chibok, a film that takes viewers into the heart of one of the unsolved mysteries of Nigeria's war against insurgency, made history when it won the Venice Lion for Best Immersive Story at the Venice Film Festival, making Kachi Benson the first African to win the prestigious prize in that category. Daughters of Chibok has gone on to screen at some of the most prestigious festivals and venues across the globe, including Berlin, Cannes, and the Fee Center, winning awards and receiving special mentions, including a Best Story award at Cinequest and being listed on the Forbes list of top 50 VR experiences of 2019. Kachi is a firm believer in the use of film as a tool for social impact. And through his Free Spirit Academy and the other fora, he also teaches and mentors young filmmakers on how to use storytelling as a catalyst for positive change. In December 2019, Kachi Benson was named among the New African Magazine's 2019 Top 100 Most Influential Africans. He lives and works in Nigeria. And with that said, I'll hand it over because I don't think there's any more that I can say around that. I'm super, super excited to hear what Kachi has to share with us.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Super well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I get a bit, it's a bit informal with this kind of thing. So, are we going to have it as a Q&A or I just talk? What would you have me do?
Well, I think the first thing that we wanted to share, Arome, is a trailer from some of Kachi's work. Do we have that available to share?
Yes, I can do that. So
Let's start off with that. Yeah, I think it would be great for the audience to see in action what Kachi does.
Awesome.
Great.
Did I do? Did I?
Wow. So we saw some of the imagery on the screen, Kachi. Obviously, we didn't have audio to accompany it. But can you tell us a little bit about the story? I mean, how did this project come to be? What was the inspiration for the creation? For some of our audience members that may not be familiar with the story. Could you start there for us?
Great. Yeah. So basically, I mean, for a long time, I've always been curious about Chibok and what happened there. And if I go back slightly to how I got into storytelling in the first instance, for me, storytelling is about, you know, using the skills that you have, the equipment that you have to for impact. So I'm very passionate about storytelling for impact, using your stories to shed the light on things that are, not known, amplify voices. And so in the last 5 years, I've been really concerned about what happened in Chibok, wanting to find out, did it really happen? Was it true? Because when it happened, there were a lot of different opinions. Some people said, oh, it's fake news. Others said, well, it didn't happen. So, but I wanted to find out for myself. And, it took me a while to make that trip. But when we finally did, my team and we got there and saw on ground, we met the people, we met the mothers of these girls, we met the fathers, we met some of the girls. I felt compelled to tell the story, especially from the angle of the mothers who were left behind, because it seemed like no one was telling their story. They were the ones who were left with the burden, both physical and mental, right? For a lot of them, they have more than one child. So some have 5 kids, 6 kids, and yes, one is missing, but you still have 5 more mouths to feed, right? And the women are the ones who are tasked with that responsibility. So even
Right.
whilst there was,
Sorry to interrupt, just really quickly.
yeah.
Can you go over a little bit with regards to the story for some of our audience members that maybe across the
Oh,
world that
okay,
aren't familiar with the
okay,
story?
okay, okay.
That'd be great.
So fantastic. So on April 14th, 2014, 276 girls were kidnapped from their hostels in a remote village in northeast Nigeria. And to date, over 100 are still missing. They haven't been found. And the story around how they got kidnapped has been shrouded in all kinds of mystery and stories and theories. And so, as a storyteller, I always wanted to find out the truth for myself. I wanted to go there and ask, what really happened here. That really was a motivating factor for me to go to Chibok and find out. So, obviously there were a lot of hashtags at the time, celebrities and, influential people from all over the world had the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls. It went global. But unfortunately, that really didn't change much because you still have a lot of these girls who are still missing. And what I wanted to do with my story was to contribute to the narrative and amplify the voices of the women who were left behind, mourning the loss of their daughters. That really was what inspired the story.
Great. Yeah. And what did you find through that process? What did the process look like? What did you discover? And if you could talk to us too a little bit about the choice of immersive as a
Gotcha.
medium and how that played in to your process. Did you know you were going to do immersive at the beginning, or was it part of your discovery process of what you learned there that compelled you to use the medium?
Yes, that's a very good question. So when we started, when we went to Chibok, I didn't know what I was going to find there. I didn't know what kind of story I was going to tell. I didn't know what medium I was going to use. But fortunately, we had both our immersive cameras and we had the regular cameras. So we get into Chibok and, we start to speak to the women, speak to the men, speak to the girls. And, I started to think about, okay, so now I want to tell this story because a lot more was unveiled, during those meetings. We realized that these women felt so hurt. They felt abandoned. They felt like the world had moved on and left them. one of the most haunting statements that I heard was, in the beginning, it seemed like the world cared, but now everyone has moved on and we're still here. And that was a statement that really struck me. So, I conferred with my team, and we felt that it would be best to make the film in 360 using immersive technology. And why? Chibok is a place that is so far away. For us to go there, we had to fly, 1 hour to Abuja, 1 hour to Maiduguri, and then we drove maybe 12, 13 hours to Yola, passed the night, and then drove 6 hours to Chibok. It was a very long trip. And I mean, it's not a trip that, you can just make randomly. You have to plan it. And because it's so far away, a lot of people who are aware of the story, at least in Nigeria, are kind of detached from it. They feel like it's not true. It's, what I mean? And so the question we asked ourselves was, how can we make this story as real as we possibly can for the viewers? Like, whoever watches this, how can we make this experience as real as possible for them? And it was really a no-brainer for us to say, let's use immersive technology. Let's immerse them in Chibok. Let's take them to Chibok. And that's really what influenced or informed that decision to use 360. And I must confess that it was the wisest decision that we made, because for everyone that saw the film, the first statement was, wow, thank you for taking me there. Now I believe. Or I didn't know it was this bad, or stuff like that. And then obviously the next question was always, how can I help? What can I do? You see, because when we got there, we discovered that there was a bigger need. Like I said, these women were not just mourning the loss of their daughters, but also struggling under the burden of raising other children. And their ability to raise their children is tied to the earth. How much harvest can they make on their farms? And so that then became sort of like a cause for me that, you know what, I'm going to do everything I can to raise some support for these women, just to let them know that, look, they're not forgotten. Yes, I cannot go into the forests and get back their daughters, but there are other things that we can do to make their lives just a little bit easier. I mean, that's why I talk about, using storytelling for impact. Like, what do your stories ultimately accomplish at the end of the day? Right? And this was one of them. Being able to use this story to amplify the voices of these women, and yeah, get results for them.
Yeah, I think a call to action is always so important, and it's great to hear that you incorporated that in to your project. I'm sure a lot of our listeners and watchers, our audience members, want to know the same thing in terms of, if they're touched by the story, how they can get involved and make an impact. Do you have any advice for people that are touched by the story and want to find some way to get involved?
Well, yeah, I mean, before we even go to that, so the question would be, so the film came out, won awards and all of that, but what difference did that film make in the lives of the women? And
Right.
and one of the most important things that happened, unfortunately Arome is not here, I shared some images with him, was that in 10 years they haven't had power in Chibok. But as a result of this film, somebody saw the film and committed to providing solar power for about 120 homes in Chibok. And we specifically targeted women who have daughters that are in school, right? So it was a case of trying to help them to extend their study hours. So we focused on women who had kids, especially girls who are still in school. And you could see kids who had never seen power, electricity in their homes before, 8, 9-year-old kids, and they were just like blown away. Yeah, so those are some of the images, and that was really, really, for me, that was the biggest award or the biggest reward, being able to see that this film has been able to make a difference in the lives of these families. We were also able to get support for the women so that they could get things for their farm. So things like fertilizer, farming tools and equipment, just so that their farming could be just a little bit easier, right? We did that. We were able to take our main character. We took her to New York in 2019, and she met with the UN Under Secretary General, and she met with the head of UN Women. And promises were made in terms of how can we get you guys psychosocial support, therapy, and all of that. And like I said, for me, that's what the film is about, right? Your film should be able to make a difference in the lives of the characters that you choose to tell their stories in some way or the other. And so for people who are looking for how they can support, I mean, it will be a simple case of just going to our website, which is vr360stories.com. And there's a place where you can click on the link to support, to donate, or we can put you directly in touch with the women in Chibok, with the leadership in Chibok. What do they need the most? They need help on their farms. Like I said, their ability to send their kids to school is really tied to how much harvest, they can make. And every year, with climate change and with increase in security, it becomes harder and harder for them to be able to do that. So as much as we can, we want to, make it easier for them to carry this burden.
Kachi, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure there are many that are just starting out in their careers that are watching this and thinking, I'm really passionate about a social issue. There's a story I want to share with the world, and I don't really know how to get started. What's your advice to them? Yeah. What do they do to get started to really tell the story to the rest of the world in a way that will make an impact like you've done, and send waves all over, with regards to response to issues that maybe aren't getting the attention they deserve?
Gotcha. Well, I mean, like you said, it first of all starts with a genuine desire to want to use your films to make a difference. And I know that it's a bit hard for a lot of people to process that, especially in Nigeria, where you need to survive, right? Passion projects don't necessarily put food on the table, so you have to survive. And there's always that dilemma of how do I strike that balance between taking care of myself and my family as a filmmaker and being able to tell these stories that matter. But again, I would say right here that none of these things, you cannot achieve that without some level of sacrifice. You have to be able to make those sacrifices and say to yourself, what's more important for me to do in the long run? In the long run, what's more important? And I'm an example. I can tell you for a fact that I'm a testimony that, look, it's possible. If you put your mind to telling the stories that matter, it's only a matter of time before you get noticed, before you get, it begins to add up, right? Now, in terms of how do you get started, just get started. Really, that's what it is, right? Some of my earlier works, I can't bear to look at them now, right? Because over the years, I've grown. But at the time I made them with so much joy and so much passion, and I put my everything into them. Every day, embrace it as a new opportunity to learn something new, right? Who you are today is not who you're going to be tomorrow. I don't expect that 5 years from now, I'll be at this level. I'm still growing every day. I'm still learning every day. So just start. Do you have a camera? Go out and shoot something, right? Put it out there. Look for a mentor. Look for people that can tell you the honest truth about this work. And then there are tons of videos online. There are tons of resources online that you can access and see what was done and how you can improve on yours. So when people ask me, how do I get started? I say, just take the camera and go out and shoot something. Look for a story that you're passionate about and shoot it. Tell that story. You have a lot of references that you can use online to sort of assess yourself, right? And if you're honest with yourself, you will know that there's always room for improvement. No matter how great you get, there's always room for improvement. So if you want to do it, go out and do it. Don't wait to be told. Don't wait for anyone to encourage you. Be your own encourager. That makes any sense. And go out there and just do it. Yeah.
That's great. We had a speaker yesterday speaking about how immersive technologies are new to the whole world. So no one has a lot more experience than anyone else in this type of technology. So I love your message. Get out there, do it, learn some things, grow. Thank you so much for that. Arome, thoughts, questions that you have?
So I have a couple of questions, but I would say, are we expecting any more awesome projects from you and also from your studio?
Yeah, sure. So we just finished our another project, which is also an amazing project. It's called Noah's Raft. Again, it's about impact, using storytelling for impact. So basically, we told a story in Makoko of this young man who decided to go back to his community and start a school on the water so that he could train, he could teach the kids. And we're very happy that we're done with it. It looks amazing. Everyone that has seen it said, "Oh yeah, it looks great." So you'll be hearing more about that, very soon. But there are also other projects in the works. So I'm sending you this right now. I mean, if you can possibly project it if that's possible. But yeah, so that's that's coming out. We're doing things in the space of education as well. How can we use VR as a tool for education? How can we use it to teach? How can we use it as a tool to disseminate knowledge? We're very passionate about that. I will keep telling these stories. I like to say that I straddle both worlds, both VR and 2D. So it's really a lot of times a function of the story. Some stories are great in virtual reality, some are not. Some should be told as 2D films. But at the end of the day, what's really more important for me is, can this story make a difference? Can it amplify someone's voice who needs to be amplified? And if the answer to those questions are yes, then I'll do it.
Awesome.
That's amazing, Kachi. That's a quote I think we could use. Yeah. I mean, it's so inspiring. I'm just in awe of your commitment to amplifying people's voices. It's amazing.
So we have a question from StanLab 3D Virtual Lab. He said, does VR 360 Stories facilitate training for young creatives, and how does one partner with you guys?
Yeah, sure. I mean, but we don't facilitate training per se. We do have people who can come in as interns, hang around with us for a few months, whatever, just learn the ropes, get involved, get your hands dirty with the guys, and learn. And by the time you're done learning, if you want to stay for longer, you're welcome to stay. If you want to move on and do your own thing, we encourage you to do that. So it's not really very formal right now. We have plans to set up something more formal in the near future, but for now, it's really a case of if it's something that interests you, reach out to us, send an email, and we'll respond.
Great. Yeah. Is there an email you could share so I could put it in the chat for people that want to reach out?
So it's vr360stories@gmail.com.
Okay, great.
I think it's really simple. Yeah.
Thanks, Kachi.
Awesome.
I think there's so many more questions that people have for you. So thanks for sharing that contact information. You are certainly an inspiration, sir, to many, many people. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. We need tons more like you to amplify the voices of those who aren't being heard. So thank you for your work. We can't wait to see what your next project looks like.
Thanks for your time, man. It's been really, really nice talking to you guys. And like I said, anyone that wants to reach out, please feel free to reach out. And if you have any doubts about what to do or how to go about it, just do it, man. What's the worst that can happen? They'll tell you it's not great, then you go do another one.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
I think that was
Yeah, I told Arome the other day, I had an aunt growing up that used to say that the word fail, FAIL, stands for finding an important lesson. And I think, those of us in the space that are learning and growing, Yeah. That's kind of what we do every day, right? We learn something, we get up and we do the next thing. So it's people like you that keep that up, that really are making a difference in the world. So thank you so much for that, Kachi. I appreciate your message, and it's been a pleasure to speak with you today.
Nice talking to you too, Jennifer. You take care and have a lovely day.
Same to you.
Yeah, bye.
I think Arome may be frozen at this point. But for those of you that are watching, join us on the next link. We've got a great speaker coming up, and we can't wait to share the next piece of wisdom with you all. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, everyone. And see you next time on next session, actually. And we have also a storyteller. We have Tiago, if I'm correct. Yes, we have Tiago, and he will also be sharing his thoughts about XR for storytelling. So thank you all, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.